Hello again, shed friends. It is more time for the dumb motorbike stuffs. Yeah, so we're gonna pick up where we left off last time. That's generally what you do in a video series, is you finish a video and then you move on to the next video. You've seen YouTube, you know how this works. We have a plan for this video though, with that engine from the parts bike that now no longer exists in the shed, except for the engine. We're going to do a little bit of magic. We're going to take this engine here and we're going to remove its top end, because its top end, it's not the greatest, but it works, it runs. I reckon it's got some minor issues that might need looking at anyway. So probably time to take it out. The clutch is starting to slip on that bike, so let's take that motor out, fix the clutch, take the top end off. And over there on a shelf, I've had it for over a decade now, top end IT490, barrel, piston, head, almost ready to go. The piston and barrel are set, new, barrel machine to suit the piston. That's all ready to go. The only thing we've got left to do for that is put the barrel on, figure out a squish height and remachine the cylinder head, because we're going to go O-rings, because copper gaskets, yeah, look, if you like them, that's fine. I'm not going to judge you. I don't like them. I'm going to go O-ring. If you don't like O-ring, that's cool. I don't care. Yeah, so we're going to put a fresh 490 IT on the old blue 465 IT there. Freshen it up, make it good. Good little bike to ride through the woods doing dumb stuff. And then, yeah, use leftover parts to make this other engine run. It's the plan so far. Weld the engine case on the spare parts bike motor. Yeah, and then put all the parts on it, throw it in that bike, and hopefully have two running bikes from heaps of parts. Yep. Heaps more strength needed. That is one very dodgy aluminium plate. Should be better than the 3D printed one for the meantime though. And who said 3D printing is weak? Well, I mean, that was weak, but that was for the lols. I mean, this is pretty dodgy, but it certainly works. I'll make a better version later. I still want to try and make a 3D printed version. So just having a look, what else is in here. This kickstart idler gear is pretty ordinary looking. There's some chunks missing from it. It's not real pretty. I assume that's where some of this debris has come from, among other places. Some score marks there. Sorry, the footage probably isn't going to be that great. It's yeah. I reckon it should be pretty right to get at that crack now and give it a go. Not sure how loose that bore is. Hopefully it's good. Oh. So the last things to do for this at the moment is weld that crack and then onto the other motor. Somehow I did not stuff that up. That was the first weld we did, a bit hard to see. Just a little root run to fill the inside. That'll get ground back out to clear the gear. Yeah, seems to have come up pretty nice. It's right next to where someone else has done the same thing. Not a perfect weld, but that works all right. I was worried I was going to melt through, but as soon as I started striking an arc, I realized I was good. Welded down around there for that crack, not too bad. A little bit ugly here. I mean, it's all pretty ugly, but I mean, when you think about it, it's been 20 plus years since I've welded alley, and I have not used a TIG for probably 16 to 18 years. So that's not too bad, not bad for a burnout old fitter. So originally there was just a weld, just a bead around the crack, original crack around there, not much meat to it, and then they'd fully filled this area here and welded there. So I've come back along and blended this in. It ended up a bit bigger than I'd hoped because a lot of porosity forming in this part of the case. Not sure why this part in particular is getting a lot of porosity, when down here that was easy to melt, like no holes at all. Whereas you probably can't see them on the camera, but there's just little pinholes everywhere. I spent a fair bit of time drilling the pinholes, filling holes, drilling holes, filling holes. But I think that should hold up for a temporary engine to get this running. Hopefully everything's above board. There's still a crack on that inside there. I was tempted to weld it up, but look, all things considered, I think that'll be okay. A lot of filings from all that grinding, so I'm gonna have to give this case a very thorough flush. It had a lot of debris stuck in it originally anyway, so like it needed a thorough clean. So I wasn't too concerned. I'm pretty happy with that. It's now ready to have the top end swapped out and be put back together. In between jobs, I also redesigned and 3D printed how to solid this little better handle for the clutch tool. Should hopefully work a bit better and won't be as ugly as that aluminium one I knocked up in 2 minutes. Yeah, this will be a fair bit better. Hopefully it holds up. I'm just going to get some RHS that hopefully fits over that. Probably should have designed it for some RHS, but anyway, yeah, not quite that smart. So that's ready to try out when we go to probably when we go to pull the next engine apart out of the blue bike. Next on the list of things to do is to pull the engine out of this bike. Yep, nah, I'm not looking forward to this job. Anyway, it's got to be done. That was pretty easy, and it didn't take too long, about an hour, to get that engine out. That's not why I wasn't looking forward to it. The reason I wasn't looking forward to it is about a decade ago I pulled that bike apart, 12 years ago, whatever. The other week I pulled that other bike that's off in the distance, way that way, under the house, pulled apart. And now 3 out of 3 of these bikes I pulled apart. I kind of don't like that, because in the past 12 years I haven't put one of these back together, and that is a bit concerning. But hopefully this one's the one. This one will be the first one to get put back together, and that'll start a massive trend from here on out. But this has needed to happen for quite some time, because this engine's suffering from some neglect. I have redone the head before. The head was leaking when I first got it around in here. I've already wiped a heap of oil and grit out, but in there is chockers with oily goodness. So again, this head is leaking, and again, I don't like copper gaskets. So I'm gonna O-ring this. This top end, like I said before, is gonna go on to this motor, and then this motor is going to get, ignore the mess, this cylinder here that has been sitting around for 10 to 12 years. Slowly, every now and again, I dip this brush in oil every now and again, and I apply oil to it to keep it fresh. I've been doing that for over 10 years. Anyway, it's time for that cylinder with a fresh piston to go onto this motor, and we'll give this a freshen up. The clutch is a bit worn. I think it's slipping a lot, so we will pop the clutch case, redo the clutch. I got plenty of clutch kits. Check everything over, but before we do any of that, we'll still give it a vacuum test, because I would be interested to see how this compares leak down to that one. So that'll give you a good indication of, I guess, what you can get away with. I never really flog the hell out of this thing these days. I've just been riding it around town mostly since knowing that that head issue is an issue. Interestingly, this case, look at that. This is, has not been welded. As far as I can see. Is that there? Nah, I think that's just paint cracked out. There is no welds on this case. This has got to be the best engine case I have ever seen, and I want to keep it that way, so we need to check it, give the bottom end a check over, make sure it's still good while we're at it too. Yeah. Should be a good little engine when it's done, and then that should be a half decent test engine, test mule to put in the cafe bike. And then maybe soon we'll go from having 3 pulled apart bikes to having 2 somewhat mostly assembled rideable bikes. That's the plan. It's only taken me over 10 years so far to get to this stage. I'm sure I'll finish it within the next 20 years. Easy, another 20 years, I'll be all over it. Yeah, at the ripe old age of 60 something goddamn years old. YouTube analytics informs me that the average view time of these videos in this series is about 3 minutes, which means this video is probably already 13 minutes too long. I'm going to wrap it up here, and we'll come back in the next video and continue working on the engines for both of these bikes. Until then, have fun, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and see you next time.